Are you a little surprised they didn't draft a goalie? They made 7 picks, 5 forwards, 2 D-men. Just throw a dart on a goalie? Are you a little surprised?
I mean, not a little, but not majorly. I think John Bailey did an interview with Danny before the draft, a couple weeks before the draft for Philly Hockey Now, and Briere basically said, we're not going to spend a prime pick on a goalie this year. We may throw a dart later rounds. But if you're looking at the position and you're saying, well, maybe we'll use a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick on a goalie, you're not locking yourself into definitely doing it. So is it a mild surprise? Like, yeah, when I did my every pick mock before the draft, I had them taking a goalie, I think, in the 6th round or the 7th round. But it's not blowing me away that they didn't. Like, those guys are unlikely to pan out anyway.
It's just, yeah, I'm not like, oh my God, they didn't take one. It's just given the high variance of goalies and the holes that might be opening up in the organization. Like, say Kolosov does come over. All right, like, that means we got 2 prospect goalies. And a lot of goalies don't turn out.
Right.
I feel like you just want a lot.
They have a lot
in the pipeline.
I think that's the way they're looking at it, is that they already have a lot.
They do have 3 dudes who aren't at the NHL level, and then Sam Ersson, who turns 25, I think, the day after the home opener. So, like, pretty damn young as well. But I'm going to start with the NHL level now with Ivan Fedotov. He will be 28 at the end of November, a 28-year-old rookie. He played the 3 games last year, 1 start. It was what it was. Letting him burn that final year, bring him over, everything he's been through. It was a really cool story, and that first game was a lot of fun. But just looking at, like, how much of an unknown, like, he's going into camp as the number 2. Like, this is happening. He's an NHL goalie.
Oh, yeah. No, that is happening.
How much confidence should we have in Fedotov? And, like, what do you think his leash is? Because I look at that contract, and I don't know if this is something I thought about before when we initially looked at, 2 years with, like, a, 3.28 AAV or something like that.
It's high. It's, like, higher than it should be.
Considerably high.
But again, this is them paying to get him out of Russia.
Paying to get him out of Russia, and he had to buy his way, all that stuff. He wasn't coming over unless he was going to make something similar to what he was making over there, all that.
Yes.
But also, I look at the 2 years, I look at the decently high AAV, and I think, like, yeah, let's say he's no good to start the season. We can't have a goalie situation like we did last year where Ersson just plays every single game. Maybe you could IR him and call up Kolosov or Peterson or whatever. But, like, if it's this dude needs reps, he hasn't played on this continent before, you need to send him to the AHL. Do you think part of this contract is it's basically its own waiver protection?
I'm skeptical.
Who would take a shot on this guy, a 28-year-old rookie, at this number?
I would agree that it is absolutely waiver protection, but I don't think
that's not the thinking.
I think they are looking at it as he's going to get this year. That he's going to get this year in the NHL. He's a good KHL goalie already. We know that. And it's more helpful to find out what he is at the NHL level versus the AHL level. Like, we don't need to rehash that. He's 28 years old. If he can't hack it in the NHL level, there's no development. This is just who he is.
This is evaluation.
So they're trying to figure out who he is. Now, what I have been able to gather is that they're going to reassess the goalie situation after this season. That, if Kolosov does indeed come over, which, again, I believe they think is going to happen, they're going to reassess all 3. They're going to reassess Ersson. They're going to reassess Kolosov. They're going to reassess Fedotov. And if after Fedotov's first season in the NHL, he has a 885 save percentage, I don't think they're going to stop playing him. Like, honestly, I don't. I think they just might look at it as, well, we'll have a good team with bad goaltending, that high pick, whatever. I think they're going to keep throwing him out there to see if he can figure it out at the NHL level. But if after a year, it's clear he's just not a good enough skater, he's not quick enough to stop pucks at the NHL level at a decent rate, they might have a conversation with him and be like, look, like, we're happy to pay you this money, but you might not make the NHL team. Kolosov might beat you, and then you might be taking buses. If you want to kill the deal and go back over to the KHL and sign with a team for more money than whatever, we're open to it. But, like, you didn't perform well enough to keep yourself ahead of Kolosov in the organizational depth chart. Now, the flip side of it is if Fedotov kills it, if he's the gigantic 6'8" goalie with a 920 save percentage that teams just can't figure out, then they're going to roll with him. Yeah. And then maybe he's part of the present and near-term future. But the way I think they're looking at Fedotov is you get this year. You get this year to show us what you have. Okay. And then after this year, we're going to reassess everybody and we're going to see where everybody stands.
Because a lot of people, like just my friends and stuff, have asked me like how this goalie situation is going to be handled. And I drew it out like a like one of those SAT problems, like if X is to Y as, and I was like, Ersson is to Fedotov as Hart was to Ersson. Like, it's going to start out, Ersson's the guy, and we're going to get you in when we can.
Oh, yeah, if Fedotov outplays Ersson, he could jump him.
And then
that could easily
as
happen.
Fedotov earns more confidence, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then, like, we're going to get into Ersson in a second. Like, the way those numbers, like, the way his starts were broken up, it was like, all of a sudden, Ersson was starting 50% of the games.
Yeah.
And
even before Hart.
Hart disappeared. It was like working its way into a tandem because of how well Ersson was playing.
Ersson earned the starts.
And I think that's the Fedotov situation. It's like, yeah, it's going to be Ersson to start. And then if Ivan gives us a reason, we will play him more.
We all silly like the mayor.